We're live, everybody. The John Lavinia's Success Mastermind session is the 8th of February, 2022. John himself is with us. So great to see John, Catherine, Virginia, and other people dialing in. So I will just have a quick mention of housekeeping while we're waiting for people to press the dial-in button. One more session today, Ivier with her great corporate curios meeting and discussion, and that will take place at 5 p.m. Eastern time, which I think is still 10 p.m. UK time until the clocks go forward, which we're getting back towards, believe it or not. The clock's going forward in the spring, but we're still on 5 hours apart from the UK. So I'll probably start off while we wait for people to join us. So that's the only housekeeping, only session today. I wanted to follow up, and I was just talking to Virginia about this from the last discussion we had about the vital tipping point in the journey towards success. And you might remember we were talking about the transition from dream to reality and laborious effort, and how we reach a desert between the two, the dry point where it gets tricky and we're trying to turn our dreams into realities. And most people, unfortunately, give up. So this is why it's a crucial point in the success journey. And we also discussed the fact that successful people have managed to cross this desert or this dry patch. They've managed to overcome that disappointment, which follows on from the initial euphoria we have following having a dream. But this time I wanted to follow up on another important or vital component of that journey, the past. The past is crucial. So not only do we have to be able to turn our dream into hard work, and implementation, we have to be able to overcome the past and all the baggage that it lands us with. And the past really, I will talk of as being a burden. It's a heavy burden, heavier than any object you can ever lift. It has a lot of things associated with it. And if we allow it to, the past will crush us under its weight, literally, or it will simply leave us wasting days and days of our life trying to lift it. Have you ever felt that? Maybe you have. Perhaps you want to comment on that when we open the floor in a minute. But we probably all had times when we feel the past is weighing on us, holding us back, criticizing us, accusing us generally from memory of the things we have or haven't done. So the past, unfortunately, remains always an influence on us. And our current perception, whether we like it or not, is going to be colored by the past. Past failures, past unpleasantness, overbearing and bullying people from the past, critical people from the past. Maybe that strikes a chord with some of you. And these currents flowing from the past can seriously hamper or destroy our efforts now. And that influence from the past can be so severe that we can end up literally brainwashed into anything, really brainwashed into thinking we're no good, we can't do anything, we can't do certain things. Perhaps that we're going to make mistakes always, perhaps that we're not worthy. This is what the past can do to us. It can brainwash us into believing these things are true. And that influence, or gravity as I'll call it, generated by our past, and each one of us has a different past, can be so strong that at times we just can't actually function. It can just stop us crossing the difficult gap between dream and acting on our dream to turn it into reality. It can stop us in our tracks. We can end up as a stranded rocket on its launch pad with all engines firing furiously but not lifting off. And that's what we don't want. So just as the vital tipping point in the journey to success is whether we can persevere for long enough, crossing from dreams through laborious work to success, crucial also is our ability to shake off the past and its dead weight. It's a dead weight hanging off our shoulders as we prepare to cross from dreams to reality. We've got to shake off the baggage. And in equipping ourselves for success and to cross those deserts made up of very, very hard days of graft, when confidence is low, perhaps commitment is low, we have to be able to address what's happened to us before to free ourselves to go forward with a lighter step and to succeed and to get through the journey. We can find ourselves in this desert or we can lose ourselves. It's a choice. We are in charge of this. It's a choice. And quote from Matshona Dilweo said, if a flower can flourish in the desert, you can flourish anywhere. And I really believe that, but we have to positively want to, and we have to believe we can shake off the past We need to be able to value the lessons of the past. Let's not forget about it, but not be held hostage by it. And that is the problem. It's being held hostage by our past that we don't want. And that's where we've got to put the effort in to overcoming what everybody goes through. We all go through this. And in that vein, I was very lucky to hear a short talk on mindfulness in last week's BBC Radio 4 Today program's Thought for the Day, which is a great session they have every weekday from various spiritual and religious figures. This particular talk was delivered by Elizabeth Harris of Birmingham University, and she reminded us that the essence of the past is great and its impact is great. She talked about mindfulness, and many of you might be familiar with it already in different contexts. But the concept of mindfulness can be very much misunderstood, and it often is. It originates in Buddhist thinking, and broadly speaking, it's about learning to be in the present, in the now, right now, in what we're doing, and fully committed to it and focused on it, but without judging ourselves particularly. So we have to remember always, and this is a phrase that stuck with me since a mentor told me it when I was 13, believe it or not. Remember that just because we are wiser today does not mean that we were foolish yesterday. I've never forgotten that phrase, because we can criticize ourselves because we should have done better, could have, would have, should have, but actually we're wiser today, we've learned more, perhaps we're better at things. Doesn't mean we were foolish yesterday and no good. So that's a key thing about our past. We have to be able to look in context, given the state of our knowledge and experience at the time, at what we did before. Perhaps some of you have got thoughts on that when we open the floor, but it's always stuck with me. Now, mindfulness, though, is a strong tool in dealing with the corrosive aspects of the past when we're trying to advance now in the present. It teaches us to focus on what is happening right now and what we're doing right now, 100% on the present, and learning through mindfulness techniques to push all other thoughts out of the way so we can focus on what we're doing. And if we don't focus on the present, on the now properly, our whole mindset can be derailed by negativity and by other factors crowding in. Negativity comes from other thoughts, feelings, things that are going to crowd in and push our focus off what we're doing. And this is key to learning more about mindfulness. We've got to be 100% focused on what we're doing right now. And then we get a lot more effective and we get a lot more out of it. But we're not, as I say, being invited to forget it. We mustn't forget it. We have to remember it and learn from it. We need to be conscious of the impact the past has had on us and why, and on the impact it's had on the community around us and why, because that's how we learn about it and how to deal with it. So we're being reminded to recollect and remember the past as well as focusing on the now. We have two different jobs going on. We need to re-examine particularly the causes of any pain and suffering that we're feeling. Why are we feeling them? Where did they come from? And that process of remembrance can be very, very painful, but it can allow us to recollect what we need to learn from the past, mistakes, our conditioning, our prejudice, our bias, the things we carried around with us that stops us succeeding in many, many cases. So we can learn from these remembrances, we can learn to forgive ourselves, and in doing that, that develops us and it frees us and lets us grow. It's a crucial, crucial process we all have to go through. And Elizabeth Harris, who gave the wonderful talk, also reminded us that past attitudes and policies, national policies and other policies, can lead to conflicts in another time and place. These things are all linked. We're all linked to everybody else in the world, in other words. And that's another important aspect of this, because we're so deeply linked. What we do or do not do right now will have future ramifications. And those ramifications in turn could possibly impact back on us later and on other people we don't even know. They will reverberate down through time and affect us, our community, and perhaps our success. So remembering to be in the now, doing what we should be doing right now and focusing 100% on it is crucial. But remembering the lessons of the past, equally crucial, because if we don't deal with them, we can have impacts developing around us that indirectly affect our success now and our ability to get to our goal. So we've got to recollect past errors, for example, and remain aware of the deeper impact they had on us and our community. We can avoid generating those errors in the future if we've learned what happened last time. And we can then focus on the right now with more confidence, because we're much more aware, we're much more focused, and we're ready to deal with things that we shouldn't let go through. We need, though, to be at peace with the past to do that. We have to be at peace with it, not fighting it, trying to think we can change it. We can't change it, but we can address what happened. And then we can, and only then can we focus on the now, what is happening right now and what we're supposed to be doing in this new mindset we've developed right now. So what can we do about all of this? Well, there are many, many techniques involved in mindfulness, which I'd recommend everybody to study more. But the real problem is avoid letting the was becoming the is. We do not want was becoming is all the time. Was does not need to define us now as we perform the tasks and pursue the dreams we have now. And we can do a lot to combat that. But overall, we are trying to be more self-aware, aware of our surroundings. We'll come back to this in a minute, aware of reactions we're having, aware of our emotions in response to certain things. We need to be aware of ourselves in those areas particularly. Professor Mark Williams, talking about mindfulness, said, an important part of mindfulness is reconnecting with our bodies and the sensations they experience. This means waking up to the sights, sounds, smells, and tastes of the present moment. Be present. John talks about being here, turning up. And this is not just turning up and sitting in front of this screen right now and listening. It's actually thinking, what's going on around me? What is happening in my environment? Touching things, feeling things, being aware of it. And through these techniques, I'll go through a few ideas in a second, we can actually be in the now much more effectively. First thing, for example, is developing a greater awareness of negative thoughts and when they're arising and where they're arising from, so that we can identify those situations and be ready to deal with them. There's often a clear source of those thoughts. Maybe it's the same thing every time that's triggering you off. Try and note them down and study that and work out how you can build yourself a workaround. We cannot just permanently block those thoughts out. That does not work. That's a quick fix. Yeah, I'm going to block it out. I'm going to block it out. That's a quick fix. You've got to get to the root of it, the root cause, find the source of the river and then dam it and work out how to dam it and coming to terms with those negative generators, negating them, accepting them, forgiving yourself, whatever it is you have to do to stop those negative thoughts arising again and again and again. That is a permanent solution. So know our thoughts and know what they look like, identify them, remain aware of them when they arrive so that we're ready to deal with them. Those negative thoughts that crowd in, and probably every day we probably get some negative thoughts, whether it's towards somebody, something, a task. Virginia was talking about a tax return earlier. That probably generated a lot of negative thoughts. But you know, these negative thoughts are on a journey. Let them leave without you. You don't have to go with them on that journey. Let them go. Let them depart and travel without you this time. They cannot take them with you unless you choose to allow them to. So the second thing, being more aware of mental and physical signals, unease, stress, discomfort, things we feel. So not negative thoughts, but actual real sensations we encounter. Those can often tell us something. They're a really important signal. They come from somewhere and they're linked to something we're doing or about to do or about to attempt to do right now. That's why they're coming in from somewhere. So we've got to learn to be immediately aware of those things too, and the fact that we are actually experiencing them. And then we can immediately start again looking for the culprit. What is it linked to? Is it the same thing every time? Something I can't handle doing, something I don't feel good at doing? And then I can address that. I can address that permanently. Those signals then we shouldn't be afraid of. They've got massive, massive value. They're an enormous help to us. They tell us what we need to fix. They're a great indicator. They can help. So rather than feeling like that, welcome it. Say, yeah, I feel like that. I've identified it. Where are the culprits? What is happening to make me feel like that? That's very important in mindfulness. Third thing, being in the present. Well, being in the present, as we said, can be as simple as just noticing who's around you, what's around you, the trees, the flowers, everything that's going on, the surface you're sitting next to, what it feels like. That is connecting to the now. And mindfulness has a lot of that built into it, being very aware of our surroundings and actually training ourselves to be in the now just by touching them, to get our brain going and being more observant. How many of us are not observant? Someone says afterwards, did you see that? No, I didn't notice it at all. And you were in the same place at the same time in the same room and you didn't notice it because we're not developing our observance. And that links straight back into being in the now and being really present in what we're doing right now and investing in it fully. So we can actually notice the faces of the people around us and their characteristics. We can notice the surface. There's a great joy in being that aware in just simple things. There's a lot of pleasure in that. Simple things in nature, particularly getting outside every day, even just standing on the doorstep, standing anywhere we can get into an open space, because our ability to be aware in the present moment can skyrocket as a result of doing that. Our enjoyment of everything, and even our enjoyment of challenges, can be lifted to a new level in that way. It really does work. Fourth thing I wanted to mention is overthink and overwhelm. We can stop that. But again, this is part of being mindful and being in the present, in the now. We need to keep our minds focused, and we need to keep them busy on the right things. Just don't give ourselves any mental space for overthink and overwhelm. It's a sensation again. It's a reaction. That overwhelm, you're reacting to something. The overthink, you're reacting to something. You can stop it by knowing yourself well enough that as soon as you start to feel you're overthinking or you're getting overwhelmed, you can turn your mind to being occupied on something else positive. Know what it is in advance, the things that work for you that make you feel positive again. Just think of other things. You can push out overwhelm and you can push out overthink. It does not need to be there. It's a choice. It's a reaction. Just like getting hit in the leg and feeling pain, it's a reaction. We can stop it. So the fifth thing is that we are trying to achieve clarity. Clarity is key. Clarity and reason in the moment, being here right now. I want to be absolutely clear where I am and what I'm doing. And we've got to allow enough awareness and breathing space to allow logic to arise and to generate a good decision, to generate clarity. It's a matter of practice. You just have to practice doing it and staying calm, practicing, allowing room and breathing to take a decision based on logic and reason rather than panic or knee-jerk. We have to force ourselves to train ourselves to have our own routine that works for us, to be able to go through the questions to take a decision and allow them to be answered, not just responding to the initial thought we have and, oh, crumbs, overwhelm, panic, etc. We have to strive for clarity, free ourselves from the past baggage, from biases, from knee-jerk reactions. Oh no, it's that again, knee-jerk, panic, automatic. A lot of this is automatic and it's preconditioned, and we can stop it by practicing being in the moment and taking clear decisions and saying logic is going to take over and reason. Am I being rational about this? Actually, no, I'm not. There's another answer to this. So we can identify these things again and stop them taking over. Quote from Professor Williams again, mindfulness always allows us to become more aware of the stream of thoughts and feelings that we experience, he says, and to see how we can become entangled in that stream in ways that are not helpful. Well, that was a great phrase, and it made me immediately remember Napoleon Hill. John will be pleased to hear me mention Napoleon Hill again, but tying it back into some of our book studies, which, by the way, take place every week. Anyone that's watching this can join John in the book study every week, and in the UK session, different time zone, can join Mandy studying the same books. But we were reminded by Napoleon Hill that there exists, he said, a great unseen stream of power, which may be compared to a river. But, he tells us, one side of the river flows in one direction, carrying all who get into that side of the stream onward and upward to wealth. The other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into it and not able to extricate themselves from it downward to misery and poverty. He tells us that this stream of life is our thinking process. That is the stream he's talking about, and it has two sides. So our positive and our negative emotions are the two sides of that stream, he explains. And that brings us straight back, that powerful image of a stream flowing in two directions takes us straight back to mindfulness and what we're talking about today. We can decide which side of that river, that stream we want to be in by being aware of it, by focusing on it properly in the now. What we're doing and how we're feeling and behaving right now matters. There's more to this than, obviously, he mentions wealth and poverty. He's talking about success. This is not just about finance. This is about mental well-being, mental health, personal fulfillment. The river applies equally to that. So in conclusion, I really wanted to say that we're all traveling together. That's why we're in this group. So reach out to group members if you want to talk about this, or you're struggling with focusing on the now, being effective in the present. We can all help each other with that. But we have to ask ourselves if really perhaps it's the past that's preventing us being present in the now and effective in every task, so we can transit to the future? Is that what really is stopping us? Perhaps it is. So let's try and be better at identifying it. Tony Robbins, to finish up, he said simply, everyone's got a past. The past does not equal the future unless you live there. So I like that one. But I believe in all of you. You know that, and I keep telling you that, but I don't say that lightly. I really mean it. Most of the people I know are stopping themselves succeeding. You can allow yourself to succeed, but please, please give yourself permission, because you are in control and you can give yourself permission. And that was my closing thought for today, but I'd love to open the floor and see if that struck a chord with anybody, and whether anyone struggled with the past or has learned to deal with it, whether it's still hampering them. John, lovely to hear you.
Hey, thank you, Adrian. And man, I'm juggling a few things at once here, in case you guys are wondering, what's he looking at? What's he doing? So hopefully you were paying attention to Adrian, not looking at John. So anyway, I love you. Thank you, Adrian. So wise from your experience, and giving myself permission to succeed is something that has come up a few times in a few different ways. Having done a lot of work with people in various online businesses and industry segments, a lot of times people have, as you were mentioning in the past, a lot of times people have their expectations tied to whatever they did or whoever they think they were in the past. And so giving myself permission to succeed, which I suppose is the title for today. I don't know, whatever you're titling this, but the idea there is that I can hit the reset button and actually be somebody who I haven't been before. Johann Goethe said, in order to do something, one must first be something. Well, great. Who are you? Right. Which is why I keep coming back to this again and again and again, and I shared, was it yesterday? Days are just kind of running together for me here. At least I'm home, right? I got some stability, but the idea that I am cause. Who am I? I am cause, right? I mean, that's pretty powerful, right? When Gautama Buddha was asked, "Who are you?" he said, "I am awake." That's who I am, right? Or we can go to Old Testament, scripture, and I am that I am, right? That's who I am. I am. So I guess know thyself is really, what we're getting down to here, and not to get too lofty or whatever, but Ralph Emerson said, "Of what use to make heroic vows of amendment if the same old lawbreaker is to keep them?" So we've got to find the reset button, everybody, and for people here, you may have done that. Okay, I mean, you're in this group, you get prompts and reminders all the time to decide who you are, which doesn't have to be the decision that you made yesterday. If that's not serving you, okay, fine. We won't judge you for that. If you advance tremendously and create exponentially better results, maybe that's the thing for a lot of people, right? Is well, if I go ahead and I demonstrate a completely different beingness, and therefore doing this, well, what will they think? Whoever they is, right? What will they think? So let me hold myself back. So the affirmation then, one that I got from, this was Tom Johnson. He was a minister in the First Church of Religious Science some years ago. He said, I dare to make an ass of myself. Lindsay likes that one. Hi, Lindsay. I dare to make an ass of myself. There's your affirmation. Okay. So now we can reach without inhibiting ourselves, holding ourselves back. What will they think? And all the talk. Who am I supposed to be based on who I was yesterday? Blah, 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 blah. Right. So yeah, the past does not equal the future. Says you. Right. Hopefully says you. Says me. Thanks, Adrian. Glad to be here. Appreciate you.
John's great thoughts. I mean, so many great thoughts there, but it is this powerful drag of the past. It's that reset button, as you say. There's nothing worse than, as you say, thinking we should have been somebody else, that we were somebody else, that we had great success, but we haven't had it since, but we must have it again. The reset button, we dump all of that. We dump how we are with people. We dump how we are with challenges, and we start again. Nobody right now, dealing with you right now, knows who you are. You've got to tell them who you are now. So you decide who that is and just tell them. They don't know you from 20, 25, 30 years ago. How many people do you know right now that knew you 30 years ago and were still dealing with you then in the walk of life you're in now on this current project? Probably very few. So you can hit the reset button. It's yours to hit. Don't feel you've got to be the same person because you were that person 25, 30 years ago. You don't. Absolutely right, John. So many things you mentioned here that I would love to mention again, but yeah, tell them who you are now. Fresh eyes, reset button, all valuable stuff, John. I love that.
Or show them, right? You were quoting Napoleon Hill. He said, well, tell me what you're going to do, but show me first.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's again, it takes us back to wins. There's nothing like having a go, sleeves rolled up on something, however minor it is, and having a win and showing us. We can talk about it, we can plan, we can overthink, we've got to do it. Just do something, and then maybe feel like doing a bit more tomorrow, but do something every day, however minor, and we start to feel better. We change ourselves just by doing that. I agree, John. Show us. Yeah, absolutely. Well, more hands shooting up. I think Missy had a hand up first, I think.
Adrian, I have to invest in ink or something because I take more notes with you than anybody else. But I want to, there are some traumas that happen in life that can really wreck your life. And I'm not going to say, it's just that I'm reaching out to maybe somebody on YouTube who feels alone or isolated. And I did not even realize I was dragging this thing. I was like Marley's ghost, and I didn't even realize it, And then I came here and things started to change and transform. It's funny you keep mentioning the rivers because I kept thinking about the Chicago River. I don't remember why, but they had to change its direction. I don't know how they did it back then, but they did it. It was a very an engineering marvel that they did. And with Neville Goddard, you can revise your past. You can't go back in time physically as far as we know, but I have gone back and I have entered those moments of trauma and I have completely changed what happened. And I didn't feel anything at the time, but as time went on, something started to happen to me, and something good started to happen to me, and the chains started to fall away, and I felt lighter, and I still have other things going on that were probably a result of these traumas, physiological. That's what I believe, that they're a result of all these traumas, and they're starting to get better. So no one can give up help. It doesn't matter how heavy these chains are. It doesn't matter what the trauma is. Everyone has a different kind. Some of them are deeper and harder to work through. Maybe somebody needs some outside assistance. I don't know, but you can change it. If they can move the Chicago River to go in the opposite direction, that's what the past has to do. You have to let it go and move on its flow. It's in the past. You can't forget it because it's part of you. That's what I tried to do for a long time. Just pretend like it didn't happen. That's just sweeping it under the rug. So now I can think of it without falling apart and almost without being touched by it. I don't feel like it has any hold on me anymore. And I just want to encourage people out there, no matter how heavy it feels, there is a way to get it through. And join this group because you will be able to do that. John Levine Success Mastermind, look it up, come join us. That's basically it.
So powerful, Missy. I couldn't agree more. This is quite emotional, I think, for everybody because, the past, Marley's ghost I talked about on Christmas Eve when we talked about A Christmas Carol, brilliantly described because the ghost appears wrapped in the chain, which is effectively what he's collected during his life from not having done what he should have done. And then Scrooge is given the last chance before that happens to him, and he becomes a ghost wrapped in the same chain, which is as long as the mistakes you've made, to throw that chain off before he dies, which he does. So there is always time to do this, even if we have to change everything and we decide we can't handle the location we're in, whatever we have to do, we can address these things. But the past is so powerful. People who've had a difficult past are probably more effective than anybody else because they value things, they understand things. It's taught them so much more than a person that goes through a banal existence. I know that's no great comfort, but it does give you enormous reservoirs of strength and invention and creativity. From the people I've seen, that have been through hard times, they really have an understanding and empathy and power that not many other people have. I really believe that. So pleased you've raised that. And we can change the past. This is a very interesting thing that I learned recently. We can change the past. We were always told we couldn't. And I talked about this recently. By changing our future, we have changed our past, because it's not going to have the impact on our future that it would have done. So we can change the past because we change its impact retrospectively. That is a fascinating thing, and one which I'd never realized before. Anyway, Linda has her hand up before I get too philosophical at this point, but lovely to hear from you, Linda.
Hi, Adrian. Hi, everyone. So a couple of things came up for me. Kind of brought me. I took a course with Nancy Bernstein, okay, and through her course, she really helped me with my self-image, and she brought me back to my past that brought things out that I hadn't even I forgot about, but they were buried so deep I didn't even know they were there. So in that, I mean, that was, a huge thing for me. Because I always thought, oh yeah, I had a really great childhood, but there were people that just, said things and did things to me that really brought me down. But then, like you were saying, you have to let go of that. But that brought me to thinking about the power of assumption. Neville Goddard's book, Power of Awareness, is just an amazing book. I know we just finished Neville Goddard, and our last chapter was a little bit woohoo, but there's so much gold in this. And one thing that came up for me was, let's see, where is it? Oh yes, you must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame. Just as the moth, in his desire to know the flame, was willing to destroy himself, so must you, in becoming a new person, be willing to die to be your present self. So yeah, it's just that.
That's an
To me, that
incredible
was so powerful to me, that line.
It's memorable and it's powerful, and it is all about change. And as John said, the reset button, because it does take a complete reset. We can carry on, as I've talked about today, just dwelling on things that have happened to us, knee-jerk reactions to those again and again and again, and be in the now, or think we are, but just produce the same results again and again and again. And we can change that. That's an incredibly powerful image of the moth destroying itself. We are destroying the things we should not carry forward, or because we've learned from them. We can all be better people today because of what's happened to us, things we've done wrong, mistakes we've made. So we shouldn't be ashamed of them. We just have to try and fix them. That's incredibly powerful, Linda. I really appreciate that. I'm not sure if there are any other thoughts arising today from anybody. It is something that, as I say, if we want to cross over this dry, work, laborious day patch of the desert to get to our goal, we have to overcome, because we're not going to be crossing that desert and flowering if we just allow the past to stick us in the desert and never get out of it. It's just not what we want. We're looking for results here and change, and we can all do it. We've seen many people do it. We've seen many people in this group do it. Everybody can do it. You're in charge, as John reminds us. We are in charge. We're driving the car. This is us. It's down to us. So if anyone hasn't really connected back to identifying the things that are affecting them in daily effort, try and do that, because it's so important, so powerful. You can detect these things cropping up and then find out where they came from. And that's very powerful today from Missy and from Linda and John, who's reminded us of the important things in getting forward, which is what this discussion is all about. Every day we're trying to encourage each other to do something about it. So we can make notes, we can sit here today, turn off the screen, go off and just do a load more tasks on an endless list, but can we actually change this? Yes, we can. But after these talks, we've got to try and say, yes, we're going to do something about this. We're going to press that reset button, fly into that flame and do it. And I know you can all do it. There's nobody that can't do it. It is choice. It is choice. We're all driven by choice. Sometimes we don't want to face those choices. And that's the hard part. That's where you're standing on the diving board saying, this is a bit high. don't like the look of the pool down there, this is too much. But it's that moment where you can step off that diving board and say, I've got to do this for myself, that we're all looking for. And that's when we press the reset button and jump. So if there are no more thoughts, we might end up where we are today on a shorter session. I don't know if anyone else had anything else to say. Doesn't look like it. So don't forget, there's another session today, a wonderful session with Adrian, who's a great speaker, Corporate Curios, which is held tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern Time US, and that is 10 p.m. UK. Adrian will talk about management, business issues, corporate issues, team issues, personal relationships, everything that affects us in doing business and being engaged with teams and projects. So I hope you can be there. I'm going to sign off at this point, if there's nothing else to add, and then we're back into the normal routine tomorrow with the general session. Great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining, and it certainly helped me, so hopefully that was interesting for everybody. But we can act. Let's get some action. Give yourself permission. It's you that has to give yourself permission. I can't give you permission. I can encourage you, but you've got to give yourself permission to press that reset button that John is talking about and do it. So change your routine, change your knee-jerk reactions, change those preset preconditions that you know are cropping up when you're deciding whether or not to do something. Just change it. You can do it. You can give yourself permission to make that change. That's all that you need to be in a different world. That's it. So thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow or later on EVA session. Take care. Goodbye. Bye for now. Bye.